Mega Man 3 for the NES had a lot to live up to after the massive success of Mega Man 2, a game that the developers did on their free time from other Capcom projects. You might be wondering, why am I talking about the third game of this series at the time of this video's release, when I have not even covered the second game or even the first yet? Well, it's because Mega Man 3 has sentimental value. It got me into Mega Man in the first place. I was getting into sci-fi when I was very young, which included spaceships, time travel, and of course, robots. I don't remember the details on how I first got into Mega Man 3 for the NES. Maybe the cover design was appealing to me? Again, I was very young. Maybe my parents had something to do with it? Who knows? In my ripe old age of memory tends to fade, but I do know I was hooked. Let's take a look at the game that made me a fan of the Blue Bomber and see if it holds up today. Right after the titles, we have our selection screen, and for the first time in this series, we have our main hero in the center. It kind of reminds me of the Brady Bunch. So I guess that means Mega Man's the Alice of the bunch, fitting since he has to clean up the mess of these robots. A nice detail is, as you highlight the Robot Master, Mega Man's eyes move along with you. And that face of his makes it look like, oh, I'm gonna have to fight all these guys. Eventually, you gotta pick your poison and select your first victim. Gameplay wise, it's not much different. You run and shoot at robots that are in your way. New to this game is the slide ability, allowing Mega Man to be more maneuverable, which I like. Using the slide to get past, for example, those annoying giant enemies before the boss door really helps save on time and health. And the game at times reminds you, you have a slide now. Use it. Even with this new ability, Mega Man's MO is still the same. Take out the Robot Masters, get their powers, rinse and repeat. So who are we fighting this time? Keep in mind, I'm going in weakness order. First, we have Snake Man, who takes his namesake to heart when it comes to his level design. Seriously, look at the scales and the snake robots. Snake Man himself relies on moving about and shooting Search Snake, though you're at greater risk with touch damage. Next is Gemini Man, who hides in a crystal wonderland filled with robot penguins and a lot of these eggs, which turn into tadpoles when you shoot at them. Gemini Man starts his fight by splitting himself in two, until his health is halfway down and he switches to Gemini Laser due to his double going bye-bye. Needle Man's stage is relatively normal compared to the previous two, with porcupine-like enemies, those adorable helmet enemies that have confusing names. Seriously, is it Metar, Metul, and giant needles that are thankfully not one-hit kills. The battle with Needle Man is simple enough, but if you use his weakness, Gemini Laser, be careful. If you miss, the laser will bounce around the room until it hits Needle Man or flies away into oblivion, and you cannot shoot another until the first laser goes away. So have fun dodging Needle Man's head and Needle Cannon. And that's it for the first weakness chain. Yeah, there are two in this game. Let's start the second, longer one. Hard Man's stage consists of bees, or wasps, I can't tell, dropping hives that spawn smaller insects. Oh boy, I'm getting some PTSD here. And these traps that you can easily get by, especially with the slide. Hard Man himself makes a good starter boss. Just be mindful of the hard knuckle and his ground pound, which is so powerful it stuns Mega Man while in the air. Top Man's easy to take down. In fact, I say he's an easier first boss than Hard Man. His level aesthetic though leaves a lot to be desired. Shadow Man resides in an area with what I assume to be red water. At least I hope it's water. And light bulbs that turn the area into outer space. A nod to his possible origin perhaps? Shadow Man arguably is the hardest robot master in the game. You have to be really skilled to dodge his jumping and sliding abilities. Yes, he can slide too. If you have his weakness, Top Spin, you may have an easier time, but the weapon itself requires you to get all close and personal, which means touch damage. In short, have some E-Tanks on standby when facing Shadow Man. Oh yes, E-Tanks make a return in this game, and you can carry up to 9 this time as opposed to 4. Sparkman is another contender for a first boss. He just hops around and shoots his spark shot. I dig his level design, though I'm always nervous around the piling garbage section. I think that's garbage. Finally, we have Magnet Man, which I should also put in the potential first boss category. You can dodge his magnet missile by sliding, and he can also run away when he tries to draw you in. One thing to note about his level, it has those annoying disappearing blocks. Well, they're not as annoying in this game, as I'll reveal later. The Robot Masters aren't the only threats Mega Man has to face. In 4 of the stages, he encounters this red and gray robot called Breakman. All he does is run, jump, and shoot until you blast him enough times so that he teleports away and reveals the next part of the stage. Please note that this happens in 3 of the stages. In Gemini Man's stage, Breakman shows up for a few seconds, leaves, and opens the next area without fighting. It's almost like there's more to this robot than we thought. Regardless, Mega Man has some new help to face these threats. In addition to acquiring Robot Master weapons as per the norm, this game marks the debut of Mega Man's faithful canine companion, Rush, who serves as a replacement for the items from the previous game. The first form is Rush Coil, allowing Mega Man to reach higher areas he couldn't otherwise by jumping. He starts with this off the bat. The other 2 Rush forms he gets after beating certain Robot Masters. By beating Needle Man, Mega Man gains access to Rush Jet, which, well, I don't think I need to elaborate. Though I should point out that this is the most broken version of Rush Jet ever, and I love it. While it does allow Mega Man to bypass bottomless pits and the aforementioned disappearing blocks, which is always great, you can maneuver Rush Jet in any direction. In other words, it's practically a hovering device as long as you have enough energy to use it and don't hit any walls or an enemy. Future games would nerf this mode, making it more like Item 2, only you can slightly move up and down, which is a shame. The third Rush mode is Rush Marine, which you get after beating Shadow Man. It's pretty much Rush Jet underwater. You can even jump out of the water in this game. Besides that, there's not much use for it. In fact, I think it's superfluous since you can use Rush Jet underwater. I think the developers realized how useless this mode is because after the next game, we never see it again. Well, after beating all 8 Robot Masters, it's time to move on to the final... What? What's happening? Who are these guys popping up? Yeah, we're not done yet. After beating the Robot Masters, Mega Man has to revisit Shadow Man's, Spark Man's, Needle Man's, and Gemini Man's stages. I'll give the game credit, the levels are different, though there's a heavier emphasis on bottomless pits and spikes. Oh, the spikes. These are legitimate ROM hacks, people. Anyway, the real reason Mega Man's going through the stages is to face off against a series of robots called Doc Robots. They have the ability to utilize a specific Robot Master weapon, in this case, from Mega Man 2. When I first played this game, I thought, oh cool, new weapons I can get. Remember, Mega Man 3 was my first game of the series. Well, no. If I want these weapons, I have to play the previous game. Actually, that's not a bad idea. Looking back, the Doc Robot stages are nothing but padding, a way to extend gameplay. I understand not wanting to completely copy Mega Man 2's formula, well, not at this time, but come on! At least future games, especially during the NES era, utilize better means to extend gameplay. But here, going through 4 modified stages to fight 2 Doc robots in each? No thanks. I'd rather follow the advice of certain other people who've reviewed this game, beat the 8 Robot Masters, and put in the passcode to skip the Doc Robot sections. After that pain is over, Mega Man takes on Breakman once again. Oh, I bet it's gonna be an epic showdown, right? Wrong. It's the same old run, jump, and shoot technique. After forcing him to run away again, Mega Man returns to Dr. Light's lab, where he's informed that Wily stole Gamma. Oh right, there's a plot. Kinda confusing since there's no intro scene like in the previous game. Well, there is the manual, but I never paid any attention to them when I was younger. I just wanted to play the game. But what the hey, let's take a look at the manual's plot synopsis. Calling Mega Man. Mega Man, we need you. We're down to the wire on our peacekeeping project. We got to get those last energy crystals or we can't finish it. Dr. Wily is here now too. Yes, he's finally found his sanity. He knows where the crystals are. They're in the mining worlds, but we can't get to them. The robots are running amok and they're destroying everything. You've got to get there, Mega Man, and get those crystals. You'll have to face some pretty mean metal. Expect the worst. Is Rush with you? Give him a bolt to chew on and tell him it's from us. What's that? We must be getting static. Sounds like you said wolf. Mega Man, get to those mining worlds pronto. Grab the crystals and stop whoever's in charge. He's one lunatic guy. This is Dr. Light, over and out. That's right. After stealing Light's robots to try and take over the world in the first game, and building his own robots in a revenge plot in the second, Wily has seen the error of his ways and is working with Dr. Light to create Gamma, a giant robot intended for peacekeeping purposes. Well, it's Japan, so it kinda makes sense. The 8 robot masters we find in this game were co-created by Light and Wily to gather 8 elements for Gamma from other planets. That would explain some of the level aesthetics. Then they went amok. Gee, I wonder why. The Doc robots and Brakeman served as distractions, well, I assume they're distractions, before Wily made his move and stole Gamma. Yeah, Wily hasn't changed a bit. So it's off to another Wily castle where Mega Man faces against a machine that produces turtles, another Yellow Devil, though this one's easier thanks to Hard Knuckle, the Slide, and E-Tanks, and 3 copies of a clone Mega Man in which you have to find and destroy the real one. Oh yeah, and there's the rematch against the 8 Robot Masters. Moving on. At last, it's the showdown against Wily Machine number 3. I love cheesing the second part of this boss fight by using Rush Jet. In fact, some legitimate sources encourage this method. Wily's defeated once again, and Faker! The real Wily has Gamma in another location, so it's time to take on the giant peacekeeping robot. Wily takes direct control of it after destroying the first head, and to take it down for good, guess what you have to use? Wow, so much for the ultimate peacekeeping robot if it can be defeated by a twirl. The castle collapses around Mega Man and Wily, the former being rescued by Brakeman? There's a reason for this. As revealed at the end, Brakeman is actually Proto Man, the first robot created by Dr. Light, Dr. Wright, and brother of Mega Man. And Roll 2, people seem to forget that detail. Proto Man served Wily as thanks for fixing his power system without changing his character. The main reason Light and Proto Man had a falling out. But the events of Mega Man 3 have Proto Man see Wily for who he really is, and has been making sure Mega Man was ready to take him down. Or not, since if you look here, a certain saucer can be seen going into a tree. I'm sure it's meant to be in the background. I doubt there are saucer birds, but you never know in this world. And that's Mega Man 3 for the NES. Is it worth your time? Yes. It's an entertaining sequel that tries new things. Some of them worked, others, yeah. The music, while not as memorable as Mega Man 2 in my opinion, is still great. My favorite tracks include Snake Man Stage and Spark Man Stage. If you want to have an easier start, go to the password screen, put a red dot at coordinates A6, and bam! You start with 9 E-Tanks off the bat. Although this game is very generous in giving out E-Tanks, especially during the Wily stages. I recommend playing the Mega Man Legacy Collection version, which is what I used to record the game footage. It has a save feature, a rewind feature so you can correct certain mistakes, and a bunch of extra features like artwork and character data. And look at this! You thought I was joking when I said official sources said use Rush Jet during Wily Machine 3. While I have gone on to play some better Mega Man games, I'm forever grateful that I tried this game as a kid, and because of it, it made me a lifetime fan of the super fighting robot.